Battle of Z is a Dragon Ball Z game that came around 2 years after Ultimate Tenkaichi did, and around a year after we saw God Goku and Beerus appear in the Battle of Gods movie. It's not impossible to assume they rebranded this game in order to help get it noticed alongside Battle of Gods, but I digress. This game is widely considered as a solid Dragon Ball Z game, and it has been speculated to have founded the Xenoverse formula we all love and hate today. Now, a lot of you are probably asking if it's good or not. Well, considering that this game's intro has Vegeta doing the Kamehameha, I'll leave it to you to decide personally. As for me, I'd like to talk about Battle of Z and tell you why I personally think that it was a massive potential gone to absolute waste. Starting out, you have your usual intro menu screen. The game had a really cool and unique mechanic where you could share energy to other players around the world, and sometimes you'd see balls of energy with names and dialogue attached to them. Though unfortunately it's not custom dialogue and it only depends on which character you used while sharing the energy in game. As for the modes, you have single player mode, multiplayer mode, battle mode and options. Single player is self-explanatory, I really don't think I need to explain that. Multiplayer mode is just single player with your online friends or strangers. And now, battle mode is as close as the usual Dragon Ball formula gets, but it's online only. And I'm using an emulator, so what's the point of giving me new stages I can't use unless I have an internet connection in a dead game? Back when it came out, sure, I can see the appeal, but this game is approaching 8 years old, and it's completely pointless unlocking these now. So for the sake of game analysis, let's just stick to single player, as it's likely the mode you're going to have to play the most. Let's start off by talking about the story, the remnants of it, that is. It sort of follows the traditional Dragon Ball Z story, alongside some movies with elements of Battle of Gods in there as well. There's also an extra saga at the end of the game, comparable to that of parallel quests from the Xenoverse series. In my Ultimate Tenkaichi video, if you did watch that, I mentioned how the battle story transition was pretty wonky as you'd go from beating the piss out of the enemy, only for a cutscene to imply otherwise. I also suggested what if scenarios would help gameplay transition better into the story, which in Battle of Z this is sort of what happens. Now you can either play as the good guys or the bad guys in 2 separate branches of each saga. The good guys branch is more or less the same as usual, whilst the bad guys branch is complete what if territory. You might be thinking, sweet, I can't wait to build my own team to tackle story any way I want to, with Raditz. And does that I say, you're in for a bit of a shock, mate. See, you are limited to using certain characters in saga-based content, such as Frieza during the villain side of the Namek Saga, and Teen Gohan in the hero side of the Cell Saga, until the end of the game. I shit you not, it was one of the most tedious experiences in my entire time of playing Dragon Ball games, and to find out I had to beat the game for I was allowed to actually have fun with my teams was equivalent to Walter White watching Hank get fucking shot in Breaking Bad. I was in absolute shock, couldn't find the words to express it, and I fell into an emotional breakdown. Why would you lock one of the most unique aspects of the entire game behind the ending? It doesn't help that most of the characters that they give you in the beginning suck ass because of their CPU rating is literally non-existent, and thus they are fucking useless. So you're left spamming the same missions over and over and over again just so your AI partners can actually contribute to the fight before you can't use them again because they're not in that arc anymore and thus are unusable. Look, the story of Battle of Z as a whole is fine, it's whatever, it's different, I'm not fussed about it in terms of plot. At least it's not the exact same Dragon Ball Z plot recycled again with pretty graphics slapped on it. Looking at you, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Now that the story is more or less explanatory, you pretty much get it by now. Let's just jump into the gameplay of the Battle of Z. Holy mother of absolute shit, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but how the fuck did you make a Dragon Ball game that plays worse than games that came over 10 years ago? Don't get me wrong, I could definitely see why people enjoy the gameplay and, the experimentation is fun, but my god, I can't even tell if they tested this or not. For example, the animation looks stiff, the knockback sometimes doesn't even work, the AI is often brain dead, and the super attacks are so hit or miss, it's like trying to convince someone to sit through a 3-hour video of Moscow X talking. You could probably do it, but good fucking luck getting there. Anyway, one button lets you do a combo, another one lets you do ki blasts, which are dependent on your character's class, which I'll talk about in a second. Another lets you jump or go up and down, and another lets you block. Look, it's a Dragon Ball Z game. I'm sure you get the gist of things by now. Outside of the usual controls, your character has 2 unique abilities, which are again dependent on your character's class. Now, the 4 classes in this game are Melee, Ki Blast, Interfere, and Support. Melee types are the, Uga Booga, punch hard, hit hard, type of characters that constantly shove in your enemies' faces and are pretty much the simplest class in the set, just punch them till they die. Ki Blast types are comparable to zoners from most fighting games, in the way that you want to keep them far away from the action whilst putting pressure down from afar. Now, Ki Blast types are unique in the fact that they can shoot more than 1 Ki Blast at a time, unlike other classes in the game. Now, Interfere types are special in the way that they are, specialised in interfering with the fight or their attempts at support. Now, if support types try to heal their allies, Interfere types have a unique ability where they're able to steal the effects for themselves, so, if the enemy tries to heal, they'll also get healed. In some cases, they can even apply paralysis, but this is usually restricted to the likes of Guldo. Now, lastly, support types, pretty much the medics of this game and specialise in healing their allies and reviving them. What's cool about this class system is that some characters are hybrids in terms of them, being both a melee interference type or a Ki Blast support type, but all these do really is half the abilities of both classes into one unit, which is mixed bag at times. Now, this is one thing I do like a lot about BattleZ, but I wish it went about it better. Like how some healing moves can't be stolen specifically by interfering types. Well, what's the point in bringing in an interfere type if they can't do anything about the healing? Like, they can't steal the healing because it's unstealable, like what's the point? And what's the point in melee types when the enemy just teleports away during a combo, which is something the player can't even do? And then what's the point in Ki Blast types if they can just deflect the Ki Blast back? It makes no sense. Look, the game introduces these cool and interesting mechanics only to shoot them in the leg when it suits them. So you just stuck asking, what's the point? Like, what's the point in an instant revive mechanic when the AI doesn't even use it? If you die during the quest and the AI forgets to revive you, you'll consume a retry. Retries are basically respawns, and there's a limited amount that is affected by your team. The more OP the character, the less retries you get, and if you die with 0 retries left, then it's a long and annoying game over screen for you. After you win the battle, there's a chance you'll get an energy quest, which is the energy sharing I talked about earlier. This is your way of earning premium points, I'll talk about it later. There are also giant boss fights returning as well, which are a little more advanced than Ultimate Tenkaichi. For example, each boss has different attacks and mechanics for you to learn, but the method of damage remains the same. Hit a certain body part enough and the enemy will stagger, that you do more damage to them, you get the idea. So you can also one-shot giant enemies with an ultimate attack. Ultimate attacks are one-shot kills that become available once the energy meter is full. You'll be forced into a charging animation to prepare the ultimate, but 9 times out of 10 the enemy AI just, targets you and slaps you out of it. On the off chance you do get it off, you'll get a small and extremely stiff animation of the attack being launched and the enemy dying to it. You can customize your characters with cards you obtain from Battlezord the shop. These definitely do help, especially with the stat boosts and items, but it's weird that the AI can't use these items or special cards. Why not let them so that my partners can hold their own weight and it doesn't become reliant on me to pull for the fight? Furthermore, why would I bother buying the standing items when the premium ones absolutely shit on them in every way? Oh, right, the weekly limit. Wait, what the fuck? I swear to god, the game design this game needs to be sent to a fucking mental hospital, because what were they thinking? Why would you lock very helpful items behind a weekly rotation? I can accept a daily rotation since, gacha games like Dokkan Legends do exactly that, and, it's bearable. But a weekly rotation? So basically, you can only buy the max amount of premium items 52 times a year. Or you want to use an ultimate? Too fucking bad, you better wait until next week to have fun. See what I mean by the game finding its own mechanics and rules? It just doesn't make sense. Overall, the gameplay has some cool ideas, but it doesn't help when the game constantly fights its own mechanics in ways that are confusing and stressful for the player. As for the roster itself, it's fine. It's especially wonky, but it isn't missing anything imperative to the game or the story. Except for the fact that Super Saiyan Bardock and Super Vegito are fucking DLC. Seriously, Buhan is a base game character. You even fight both these characters in-game in the extra arc. Why are they locked behind a paywall again? That's just fucking dumb, man. Look, let's just wrap things up before I start ranting again. Overall, BattleZ is a game with massive potential that is constantly battling its own mechanics. Cool mechanics either that don't work, or there's measures in place to stop them from doing what they're supposed to. Now, it's far from the worst Dragon Ball game concept, because believe me, there are way worse. Plus, this game marked the foundation for the Xenoverse series, which pretty much did everything this game did and more. Still though, I do recommend giving this game a shot if you get past all the terrible game design decisions behind it. It's in no way a good DBZ game on the level of the Xenoverse and Rage of Blast series and so forth, but it's playable and an entertaining change of pace if you want to try something different. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.